Present.
Mr. McManaway? Mr. McManaway?
Present.
Mr. Adams?
Here.
Mr. DeWitt?
Here.
Mr. Hubler?
Here.
Emily Marshall, we're all present.
Has everybody had the opportunity to see the minutes from the May 21st meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have any, and I would, do we have a motion that we approve those minutes?
So moved. Barry.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve those minutes from the May 21st meeting. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are approved. Do we have anybody from the 2020-002B online tonight? The Joneses?
Yes, sir, we're here.
Okay, you're the Joneses, okay.
Yes.
That will be the first item on our agenda then. If you would like to present something to us,
Okay.
does everybody have that, still have their copy of that? Let me find mine real quick here, sorry.
Good deal.
This is Dean and Sarah.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And Dean, are you presenting? Sarah, are you presenting?
I'll start if that's okay.
Okay.
Thanks again for your time. Thanks for having us back. In light of the meeting in April, we've made some decisions, changed a few things in light of the input that we got at that meeting. We still have plans to do something at some point, but it's going to be different than what we had proposed. We're down to basically just the second variance of the two. We had a list there of two requested variances.
Right.
And the second one would be just the corner of the house. That's that odd corner. Sarah sent some photographs of that area to you. That's the portion of the house where the foundation underneath that area is failing. And we would like to get that torn off, replaced. And when we do that, we'd also like to eliminate that concrete staircase that goes to nothing and be able to utilize that space for the interior of the house, give us a little more square footage inside.
So you're talking about the northeast end of the cottage?
It would be the southeast corner. On one of the sketches I sent, it's depicted by it says 5 feet. And basically that area is about 5 feet by about 7 feet, that corner.
Okay, I see where it says 5 feet and then you've got proposed new building
Right.
there.
Right, so there's a corner there now that's outside of the house. There's just an old concrete staircase that doesn't go to
Okay.
anything.
I thought the staircase you were talking about was one in the north side there.
No, I'm sorry. It's an existing old concrete staircase. It must have went to an old porch or something like that. And I think Jonathan, I don't know if you got the pictures that we emailed.
I haven't seen them, no. Jonathan is not here, so if he got them, he.
Oh, okay.
I can re-email them.
Well, the pictures basically just show that inside corner of the house. There's an old set of concrete steps that aren't used anymore because that portion of the house was remodeled at some point. And that staircase needs to be taken down as well because it's also disintegrating. And when that staircase gets removed, we'd like to fill that corner in and utilize that for some interior finish space.
So what exactly are you asking for as far as the variance this evening?
That's the where it says the development standard variance for the rear yard setback from the required 25 feet down to 7.6, which is what it is now at the back of the house, for the southeast corner of the existing home to be squared off. This would be a continuation of the existing east wall of the house. And on the
So,
original variance
except-
request, we had an addition kind of on the garage that continued further east. But that's no longer going to be done that way.
So you're not doing anything with the current garage back there?
No, not at the moment. We're going to redo plans and come up with some other plan for that.
Okay. So you'd just like for it to be straight back? There's nothing there now, correct?
There's just an open corner that's got an old concrete staircase in it. So there's an
But it
exterior.
joins into the house that's already 7'6". So you're just filling in that corner, basically, you're saying?
Exactly, just filling in that corner, so a continuation of the south wall of the house of about 5 feet, and a continuation of the east wall of the house about 7.4 feet, I believe it is.
Does everybody understand what we're talking about on the board?
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, could you just repeat really quickly? You said continuation of the south wall, 5 feet, and continuation, was it the east wall?
Correct, yeah, the east wall,
And what was the amount? What did you say, 7 something?
about 7.4 feet.
Okay. Thanks.
If you have your previous variance out, I'm looking at page, I guess that's page 6, and it's got, I think, the 5 feet marked fairly well there on what I'm looking at. It'd be 7'6", and you're just going to the corner there, you'd say.
Yeah, and if you guys have the proposed site plan with the hash marked areas,
Uh-huh.
the best way to describe it is you see the 5 feet at the southeast corner, and then the 31.5. That wall right now is like 24 feet. And we just want to extend that another
6 foot to take it to the corner.
Yeah,
Okay.
just connect the dots basically. And get rid of that old crumbling staircase.
You see that, Ms. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Euler?
Yes, I see it.
Mr. Osborne?
Yes.
And Mr. McManaway, you understand what we're talking about there?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the only thing you want to do right now, you say?
Yes.
Okay, any questions of Mr. and Mrs. Jones? Ms. Marshall?
No, not for me.
Mr. Ubler?
No, I don't have a question for Mr. and Mrs. Jones. I do have a question about what was stated in our minutes the last time. I believe they had a neighbor to the east of them that called in that
Right.
had a question about that actual property line to the neighbors west and to the Joneses east that we're talking about, the 7.6. And so I just want to make sure that maybe we understand again what that neighbor was concerned about, if we need to, or maybe we don't know, or we don't need that.
What, was this not the concern that was when they still were doing the driveway that was coming all the way through? Wasn't that the concern? Is that what you're talking about?
I think Boo or Miss Marshall, it is, but I can't remember off the top of my head if her concern was about the driveway to the north of her, or if it was about this property line that we're talking about that would be to her backyard.
I think she was more concerned about the closeness to the property line on her north side.
The 2.9.
Or proposed garage.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Yep.
Mr. Osborne, did you have a question?
No, I do not, Dan.
Mr. McManaway?
No, not at this time.
So the variance we're asking for is simply a rear yard setback of 7.6 feet from the required 25 feet to allow for the continuation of the existing setbacks for the home. Okay, and that's the only one we're asking for.
That's correct.
Mr. DeWitt, do you have anything to add?
If you take a look at the foundation that's there around the steps, when Mr. Jones says it is crumbling and falling apart, it definitely is. That needs to be replaced no matter what. So all we're looking at is enclosing that to square it off. So
Okay.
it would be my recommendation that we could go ahead and do that.
Open it up to the public. Does anybody from the public want to add anything to this? And please, if you do, please identify yourself or the secretary. No questions from the public or comments? We'll move to finding of facts. This is case number 2020, sorry. 002B.
Amended. You want to put amended on that?
Yeah. And the amended request will, if you have it in front of you, it will eliminate anything from the north side setback. That will be taken out. And the south side setback will be taken out. And the only thing it will be on is a rear yard setback of 7 feet 6 inches. I'm sorry, 7.6 feet from the required 25 feet to allow for the continuation of the existing setbacks for a home addition on a non-conforming structure. And that will be the variance we're voting on. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get that written down so I don't forget it. Okay, I'll move to the questions. Remember, if you vote no on any of these, you have to vote no on the variance. Question number 1, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Ms. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Hubler,
Yes.
Mr. Osborne,
Yes.
Mr. Manaway,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Ms. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Hubler,
Yes.
Mr. Osborne,
Yes.
and Mr. McManaway,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Number 3, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. Ms. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Hubler,
Yes.
Mr. Osborne,
Yes.
Mr. McManaway,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. I would entertain a motion that we approve this variance
As amended.
as amended. Do I hear such a motion?
I move to accept the variance as amended for 2020-002B.
I'll second
I
that.
second.
I think that was Osborne that seconded it first. It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve this amended variance. Any further discussion? How do you vote on the variance, Ms. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Hubler?
Yes.
Mr. Osborne?
Yes.
Mr. McManaway?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. 0. Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Jones.
No, thank you for your time.
you.
Appreciate it.
Our second variance we're looking at this evening, let me find my agenda. Now I have it someplace. Is petition 2020-006B 60278. And I believe Mr. Easterday is going to be presenting this petition tonight.
That is correct. Thank you for allowing me to join the meeting. I'm still struggling a little bit with the technology, but as days goes on, we keep going with it that way. Quite frankly, this particular property, you probably know where it is. It's across the street from the fire station on Lakeshore Drive. It is, in my opinion, the epitome of a non-standard lot. If you look at it, it's got a front yard on Lakeshore Drive. It's got another front yard where the side yard would normally be. And then it's got the side yard to the west. I ran the numbers on that based upon the lot being 40 feet by 120 feet. If you take out the requirements of the zoning ordinance without variance, there would be a 5-foot strip on the property that could be built upon. Because you have the 10-foot side yard on the one side, the 25 on the other, take 35 from 40 and you got 5 feet. It's a little difficult to do anything within 5 feet, especially when you consider the eaves. I always include the eaves. So in that regard, it is the epitome of a non-standard lot. So then the question becomes, where do we go with this project? It's my understanding, and don't quote me on this, but I believe that the present owners inherited the property. It was in the family, and through inheritance, they gained the property. If you remember the history of the property, it was really, really, really rough. And so they are attempting to bring it back and attempting to make a decent property out of it. In the process of doing that, if you were down there, there's a couple, 3 stoops that are literally falling down. You can't get in and out of the doors that were there. They're replacing the doors, they're replacing the stoops, and our proposal to replace those is to do that with a deck. And so if you look at, and I don't know whether I can share or not, but I'm going to try. I don't know what you're getting from me, but I've got what I hope is a picture of the footprint on the property with cross-hatched area showing the deck portion. Is that coming into you folks?
We're not getting it, but we do have it in our packet, I think.
Okay, then basically I'll refer you to page 4 of your packet, and the center section of that is the area that we're looking to place the deck. I stepped it off actually today, and the edge of the building as it presently exists is 17 feet from the front side of the curb. But we're requesting a dramatically different variance because the lot doesn't go all the way to the front side of the curb. If you look down through there, there's some really nice trees. There's a nice easement area. The sidewalks and all that stuff would stay. But in terms of the setback from the lot line, we're asking for it as shown in this petition. We're also asking to allow it to go over the 50-foot or 50% because by my calculations, again, it runs out to about 55.479% of impervious cover. That assumes that 100% of the deck is impervious. I don't know how Chuck defines that, but I just did it that way so there wouldn't be any question about it. So go ahead.
Just give me that percentage again, Jim.
It was 55.479% is the way I
I'm just gonna round
calculated
that off to 55.5, if that's okay.
That's what I did, yes.
So Jim, when you're talking about a deck, are you talking about something that sits up off the ground, or are you talking about
Yes.
just building something out so it would sit up off the ground?
No, it would set up almost 3 feet off the ground.
Okay.
Because if you look at the door heights there, the door heights are significantly higher in that because of that property is significantly higher.
Mr. Easterday, could you share a little bit? It looks like the footings on the drawing go right to the edge of the east of where the deck would be. So is that right at the 0.8 feet, right next to the
Yes.
sidewalk? The footings would be there, and there's no overhang past the footings?
Yes, if you look at that bottom one, number 4, the post would be in line with the present structure.
Okay, and then is there any overhang past the posts
No, there
towards the street?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Well, to the degree where there may be a board, there may be a batten board on the front side of the post. I don't know how they're going to build it, but no, we're not anticipating any overhang. I guess I'll stop there and defer to questions.
Ms. Marshall, do you have any questions?
I walked over there. This is within walking distance of where I live, and I understand the issue of if you were building a new house on any of the lots, because I live on Forest Place and there wasn't a house here, you wouldn't be able to build much. So I understand that it'd have to build a strip, but that area is kind of crowded anyway because it sits right next to the park and it's just right up on the sidewalk. It felt the same way to me as the project over on between State Street. The people that were just on that we were talking to, where they wanted to extend the non-compliance of a wall. It was only like a foot and not even a half away from the neighbors. This is so tight over there. It just felt uncomfortable even to imagine a deck sitting there that was up off the ground. Because literally, if you were walking down the sidewalk, you'd be right next to it. There's no, 0.8 feet, just awfully close.
And it does continue from the east wall of that one section of the sunroom there, north side of the house.
That's correct.
Now, Mr. Easterday, what is, I see the deck goes around to the back. Is there any kind of structure back there, or this will be all new? Is that over pavers or what?
Presently, there's a sidewalk that goes to an old concrete, and I didn't count them, 3 or 4 step stoop for that door, and that's what that's going around to pick up on the back side. Quite frankly, there's a sidewalk there. I did not include the sidewalk in the impervious calculations, so I may be a little high on my impervious, but that basically is what it would be, and that sidewalk would come out.
You have any other questions, Ms. Marshall?
No.
Mr.
Hubler, do you have any other questions or any questions?
Mr. Easterday, could you share what the rear setback is? I just couldn't read it on the drawing.
I didn't physically go out and measure, but I think it's like 60 feet, 55,
Okay.
60 feet. There's
Okay,
no
thanks.
rear setback issues.
Okay. Will there be any access to the deck from the east side? like to enter the deck, or will the stairs are just along the southwest side to the deck?
The east side, no, there would be no access to the deck from the east side.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Mr. Adams.
Mr. Osborne, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I looked at the property recently, and Jim, tell me if I'm correct. Right now, where they want to put the deck, they have pavers. Is that
Right.
correct?
That is correct. There's a patio in there with pavers, yes.
Right.
Covers that whole area.
That front portion, the north side, which I believe is a bedroom, is that's going to be where the deck comes up to on the north side?
On the north side.
Actually, I think it says a sunroom here.
Yeah.
A
if you look at-
three-season room.
Yeah,
Is that all the way up against the sidewalk?
yes, it would be the way it's presented here.
Yeah, but no, does that sunroom come all the way up to the sidewalk?
It comes within about a foot, yes.
Okay.
I think 0.8, I think the survey says.
If you look on the page 3 of the packet, it's got a pretty good view from above of how close that is to the sidewalk there.
Okay. All right, that's all I have.
Mr. Manaway, do you have any questions? or comments?
Yeah, I got a question. Mr. Easterley, did you say that they're putting a deck back, like there was a deck there at one time?
No, if I did, I didn't mean to. No, I don't think I said that.
Oh, well, I may have misunderstood you, but just doing over
No,
the
this
phone
would be a
thing.
new, presently on the north side, the area between the sidewalk and the building is filled in with what I call a patio. It's pavers and concrete.
Yes,
And there are two old stoops, concrete stoops in there. What I call stoops are set stairs.
Right. Yeah, I saw those, and then
Yeah.
I still thought you said that, and I thought, well, I didn't know where the stairs were there, or steps, or what do you want to call them, but, yeah, I mean, honestly, that is so close in that area. And I don't know, it seems to me that, I would probably be a little more favorable if all those patio stones are gone, to where it would be a little more pervious because of the
Okay.
water to
We
the
can certainly
sidewalk.
do that. We could remove basically everything that's on the north, I keep saying north, east side of the house.
East side, yeah.
Yeah, we could remove everything to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
That could definitely be done.
But I mean, I feel like under the conditions of the house the way it already is and lot size, I mean, honestly, the lot, like you said, it normally wouldn't be buildable.
Right.
I don't even think as far as even meet any setbacks, but.
Well, I don't know how you build a 5-foot wide house.
Right, I know what you're saying, but I just feel like the deck is just too close right there. There's not an alley goes through there on the south side?
No,
That's the drive that goes
no,
back?
east, west, south. South, yes, there is an alley goes through there. Yeah, there is an
Okay,
alley.
so,
In fact, when I was out there today, the NIPSCO was putting in a gas line in that alley.
Yep.
right, I couldn't get to the house to even look because of so many NIPSCO trucks today, so.
Right, that's what it was.
Yeah, I actually feel like I understand the deck part as far as where the height of the house. I mean, I don't mind seeing that, but just to put the full deck all the way from that on the east side where the front room is, all the way back around to the back side for the whole east side. I mean, I just got a problem with that.
I agree with you, Barry. When I walked over there, I was like, wow, it's just right up on the sidewalk. It's so close. It felt uncomfortable to imagine something there.
I mean, I tried to reasonably see where I could go along with that, and I can see for the back right there where the old steps was, as far as a stoop or a small platform back there, and then as well over here where the doors are on each side. But to be the whole full actual lot being right on the sidewalk. Is there any way that could be a little more or a little less
Yeah.
completely
Well,
blocked?
from what I'm hearing, I guess maybe I'm thinking that we should try to move it back like a foot. Would that be something more palatable to the board?
What would the size of the deck be then? If hang on, I got this.
It would be basically, instead of an 8-foot deck, it would be a 7-foot deck. And Chuck can tell us more, but we have to worry about getting through the doors and being legal in that regard.
Mr. DeWitt, do you have any comments on this?
Yes, I do. This is a really unusual property, and if we're ever going to get it better and cleaned up, we may have to be able to come to some type of compromise. Now, I think the 1 foot moving it back is a big step, but one of the things that Ms. Marshall said that resonated with me is the height of it. Why couldn't we have a step going up into the house rather than the deck being even with the door? That would bring it down lower, and you're not walking right beside it. It's not waist high as you walk past it. We could lower that down to maybe 18 to 24 inches, and it could be maybe more acceptable. Ms. Marshall, what do you think about that?
That's a better design, just because you're going to get that little step back from the curb. But would that happen all the way around? So you're taking the deck back a foot plus the stair. Is that what you're doing?
Well, can we get the stairs in if we take it back a foot, Chuck? I don't know the
Yeah.
answer to that.
Yeah, you should be able to, yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of envisioning what the outdoor patio at the Lake House Grill looks like, as far as what, especially if it's up higher, and that bothers me. It looks very commercial.
Right.
Either that, Jim, or you could have them put a deck on their roof. That's what I was thinking.
I'm sorry?
I'm making a joke. I told Jim they put their deck on the roof.
There's one on the south end that I love.
Let's be careful.
All right, sorry. Sorry, I had to make a joke. That's what I was telling her. I was like, I'd be sitting on the roof.
You know, I'm just blowing smoke, but there's one on the roof down by the Long Point, and now the neighbors complain about the band up there.
Sorry.
Any
Okay.
other questions from board members?
I have one more question here, Dan, if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead.
All right. The purpose for the deck, I mean, you're saying is, as far as for the doors to go in and out. But what is the purpose for the entire deck from front to back, around the back? As far as, I mean, why would it have to be 8 feet or even 7 for that matter? I just have a problem with it being the entire deck for that whole entire side of the sidewalk.
Well, I think my answer there is, Barry, it is because of the height. If you have a situation where every time you go from one place to another, you got to go down 3 feet and then go back up 3 feet and then go down 3 feet, we were thinking that it would be more appropriate to do it this way on one level.
Right. I mean, you got 8 feet that you're using now, and then you say you could probably take it down to 7. But I mean, the sidewalk is only how wide?
Probably 4. I didn't measure it.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't sure it was
guess.
up to the size. I wasn't sure it was up to size because I thought it was the older sidewalk. But, and I didn't look at it either to know. But I mean, if 6 feet would do enough and still be able to lower it and still get the steps up, but Chuck, you've looked at that and I don't know. But if it could go down to 6 feet, I would be a whole lot happier.
Well,
as far as
Barry, in answer to your question, if we had a step outside the door, it would need to be 36 inches by 36 inches. Okay, so that would be the platform you would step on down to, and then you can step on down to the complete deck. That would give you 3 feet to walk past it, in essence.
Right.
And
6 feet.
if we can get that deck under 30 inches, the good thing about it is that it doesn't have to have a handrail, and it isn't looking more obnoxious
Right.
by having a handrail around it.
Right. Because when Miss Marshall talked about lowering that thing, I thought that was a great thing, a very positive, and then moving the foot in would be even more positive.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying we could possibly do it at a 7-foot wide deck with a 30-inch height. Is that what I'm seeing or hearing? And the reason I'm asking,
I would.
Go ahead.
I would like to see it that way more than what it is now, but just the deck, I mean, I think that the unique situation we've got here, I mean, it's definitely it's on its own here. We definitely got a unicorn here.
So Chuck.
So yes, to answer your question, I would say yes. We get down to 30 inches and it's 7 feet.
All in?
As far as my personal.
All in, 7 feet all in. So you're gonna have setback steps, right, up to a 7-foot deck? Is that what you're talking about? Or
Yeah, it would be a setback of 1.8 feet.
From
Instead
the
of 0.8 feet.
This is a place in the meeting where I would lean over to my client and I ask them if that's acceptable. Unfortunately, we're doing this by teams. Are the Strenics in here? Are they in there?
Yes,
I
we're on.
believe so.
Yes, we're on.
Do you understand the proposal that they're making?
So I believe the proposal is to have it 7 feet wide and to have it 30 inches tall. Is that
Correct.
Maximum.
Maximum of 30 inches tall.
Maximum. Where you wouldn't need handrails or rails.
And it's 7 feet wide all in. So that's including the steps. So
There's no steps on that side.
no steps at all. Okay. All right.
The
fine.
steps that I keep talking about are to get into the house.
Right.
If we lower the deck, then we have to have steps to get into the house.
Got it. Okay. Good.
So if you had a 7.5 inch step going up to the platform plus 7.5 into the house, you'd be 15 inches below that door height, and you're going to be lower than you think. So I think that would be good.
I do too.
May I hear from the Stenics, please?
I'm sorry?
I'm asking, I can hear from them.
Let's see if this
Yeah,
clients-
the Screenacs are good with that.
Okay, that's what we would propose as an amendment to our petition.
I'd also like to see you take the pavers out too.
Yeah,
Mr.
we would
Chair.
do that. We will do that.
Now, questions from the public. Anybody have any questions or comments from the public? And again, please identify yourself if you do.
Yeah. If you're going to comment, you need to unmute your phone.
I hear no comments. Are we ready to move to finding of facts, board? Everybody ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is petition 2020-006B 60278. And we're going to be voting on an amended variance here, request.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah,
I'm sorry I couldn't get on. It's Pat Stallings,
okay,
506 East Lakeshore Drive. Is it okay just to talk for a minute? I couldn't get on in time.
sure, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to let the members know that it's across the street from us. The family has been there for 45 years on and off. And the crossing is very interesting. I know Lee was interested in this, but if you notice that the crossing to the park is on the east side of Lakeshore Drive. If you're crossing Lakeshore Drive, it's State Street. It's on the east side of State Street. It's not on the fire station side of State Street.
Correct.
People walk down, they're walking down these streets. Majority, well, almost everybody but me probably, goes to the new crosswalk and crosses there. They're not interested in going down the rest of State Street south because it's a dead end. There's no parking there. The parking is uneven because it's a brick street, and you don't enter the park that way. Very, very few people will do that. There's no walkway. The best they do is walk in the circle, the Lions Depot Circle. They'll walk there and onto the park. There's a split rail fence that there's only one opening on along State Street there, although it's disintegrating. The size of the sidewalk is quite big. It's regular size. It's newer. It's not small. So if you follow that down to the Greens residence on the lake there, we're going south. There's two homes, and the second home has completely blocked off the walkway by putting a patio across all the way to the parkway, because there's a pretty nice sized parkway along State there. So, and a few trees. So it is not appealing to people to walk, except people that live there, or like us, some of us cut across there. We're used to, if you take that corner, let's see, the northeast corner of the White House that you're talking about, the sunroom juts out to about 8 inches off State Street. So you make the turn, then you get into the, and there's nothing there, some, flowers or something. But if you go and walk that, people are used to just staying on the sidewalk. You're not gonna, go into the 8 inches to the house itself. And then they're just gonna extend that. Sounds like not quite the same amount, but it's truly not a well-used sidewalk or a street. I think there's like 5 parking lots, the whole thing there. 6. You can pull into the park, and there's 6 there. It's just a very hard street itself, brick street, to get along back and forth on. So I would just let you know that it's not well used. People take the other corner, cross over, and very few will pass that house on the State Street east side. And that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Stalling.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions? Not, we'll move to finding of facts. The amended variance is asking for an east side yard setback of 1.8 feet from the required 25 feet and a 55.5 impervious coverage. And I just added that the existing pavers will be removed. Does everybody understand what the variance is requesting now?
Right, and we also want the deck not to be over 30 inches maximum.
You're right.
Right, 7 feet by 7 feet by
7 feet by 30 height.
Well, the 1.8 setback takes care of the 7 foot.
Oh.
Right, but a 30-inch height is
right. Good. Okay, question number 1. The approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Ms. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Hubler,
No.
Mr. Osborne.
Yes.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Mr. Osborne, was that a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. McManaway,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Ms. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Hubler,
Yes.
Osborne,
Yes.
Mr. McManaway,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Number 3, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. Ms. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Hubler,
Yes.
Mr. Osborne,
Yes.
McManaway,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. I would entertain a motion that we approve this amended variance.
Yes, I make a motion that we approve it as read, the 30-inch and 1.8 foot setback from the 25-foot setback.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
I believe that was Mr. Osborne. The motion has been moved and seconded that we approve this variance, amended variance. Any further discussion?
Dan, you also have on the motion that they're removing the pavers too, right?
Right.
Okay.
I just put that, that was agreed, yes.
Yeah, okay.
How do you vote on this variance, Ms. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Hubler,
No.
Mr. Osborne,
Yes.
Mr. McManaway,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. The variance is approved, vote of 4-1.
We thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Eastay. Okay, we have no other variances tonight. Let's move on to old business. Have any old business we need to talk about tonight?
Chuck might want to address this. I mean, he knows what we're talking about as far as the discussion with the Planning Commission had as far as our structures allowed on that. I know it came up at our last meeting as far as the we call them boat houses, boat sheds, whatever you want to call them.
The issue about the size of the structures on L1 properties and that are on
Right.
the side, yeah.
The discussion at Tuesday's Plan Commission meeting, that was pretty mixed reviews. Everybody was more confused than even I am. But they've promised to put that into a form that clarifies what structure is and where that counts. Russ Mason was in on the meeting, and he was telling us that it only counted one way, and he's done it this way forever, and there are a few other things, but we want to get it into black and white into writing so that everybody knows, because the way the ordinance reads right now is not clear and definitely not definitive.
Mhm.
So that will be coming from the Plan Commission as recommended as a change in the ordinance, and also come down to the BZA for a further clarification.
Thank you, Chuck.
Mhm.
And I
Any
have
other-
nothing else on.
Any other old business? Do you have anything for us, Mr. DeWitt?
Kevin, this might be a good time for you with old business.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. The house at 404 Lakeshore Drive, I own the house at 412 Lakeshore Drive. They put a fence up along that property line.
Correct.
They didn't do it per the ordinance. Chuck has talked to them several times. There's been a letter sent from Mr. Clevenger from the town asking them to correct the violation. So far, they've not even responded to the letter. What I'm asking at this point, that house is now for sale. I don't think it's fair to go back to a future owner on this. So I wanted to come to you and see if we can get something on record and maybe get something in front of the real estate agent. So it has to be a disclosure to any buyers to try and get this corrected before there's a change of ownership on the property.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, basically what it is, they have put a full height fence almost all the way to the front property line. And the ordinance requires it to be either 50% visible or 50% in height as it extends out into that area. It can't be that full height, full screening fence. Did I say that right, Chuck?
Yeah, that is correct. And in the letter, we outlined that the past, or the owner now, has been, I don't know where, but he's been very elusive, and getting a hold of him has been impossible. But as Kevin said, we can get in touch with the realtor, and once we do that, then they have to have disclosure on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think with the approval of the board that we could go ahead, I could send that letter to the real estate agent and let them know what is expected. And then the new owner can either request that that's done ahead of time or deduct that so that they can do it. But we'll let them know that's a condition that is set on that property.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I'd like to add.
Mr. McManaway, I think you had a comment.
Yes, I do. Under the circumstances, under incidents that happen like this, I mean, what we're talking about is good that we put it in writing as far as the realtor, all that, but it's still going to have the correction made by either the new owner, but I think the seller's one, it should be responsible. And I know as far as elusive or whatever you want to call it, there should be some kind of injunction as far as fines or whatever for time that they don't do it. I mean, I think that anybody that wants to do something like this, there's a reason for the ordinances, and when they don't comply and they won't even answer a letter, I mean, I think that, I know I'm not 100% for fines. I don't think Chuck is either. I'm speaking for Chuck, but I shouldn't. But I know that we like to see everything corrected the way it should in at least a non-hostile manner. But I think fines in this case should probably be looked at very seriously to where the new owner's not going to have to comply when it should be already in compliance before they buy it.
Do we have the power to do something like that? I mean, does a letter from us even mean anything? You know, I know. Go ahead.
Yes, it does, Lee. It was from our attorney to them, Phil Markel.
When you follow up and send another letter, is that again coming from the attorney?
The follow-up letter will include the attorney's letter and letting the real estate agent know. And as far as the fines go, that's a very good idea, but I don't know that the time line is going to allow us to do that. I met with potential owners on Wednesday at the property, walked through it, and they were going to make an offer at that time. So if we can get this to the real estate agent, get the job done. I mean, our goal is, and I disagree with the way it was done in the past. We tried to see how many fines we could put on someone. It's my goal is that everybody comes into compliance, because that's our goal, is to have compliance.
I agree.
And if we could do that at this point without muddying up the water for potential buyers, or, having to go through that, I think it would be to our benefit to speed this up and get it done.
Yep.
And not be as concerned about the fines. And this is just one that's kind of gone through the cracks. You send out a letter, you think that, that's going to be done. You go on and put out the next fire and the next fire, and pretty soon you forgot you left a, hot pot on the stove, and which is what we did. And I will take the blame for that could have followed up and had that done and been more stern with that. But, at this point, I think it would be to our advantage just to get the letter to the realtor, have them get that done either before they move in or before closing or afterwards. I don't care which, just come into compliance.
I agree.
So
Right, I agree, Chuck. And Chuck, I respect everything you said 100%. And I think that the ultimate goal is to be in compliance, and definitely not a blame thing at all here. I mean, I know things happen, but I just, it aggravates me when people do not think that there's a reason for these ordinances. And I mean, it's safety, everything.
And I understand that, Barry. You don't have to worry about putting the blame anywhere. I accept it for not being quicker and following up on this. So, you don't have to beat me up. I'm taking care of it myself.
No, I'm not, because I mean, the blame goes a long ways. I mean, I think everybody on the Planning Commission came for the Planning Commission, and we have let it go. And I feel like it's a whole group lack of effort, I guess it would be the best way to say it. But I do agree, if it can be fixed without the trouble, it would be a whole lot better situation.
So Chuck, who's going to write the letter then? Is that Dan who's going to write it, or you?
No, I will do that.
You'll do it. Okay, good.
Yeah. And in fact, the first thing I'm going to do is call the realtor so that we have the phone conversation, let her know that the letter's coming, and I will include a copy of our letter from Mr. Clevenger. And that way they know what needs to be done.
Okay.
Well, this is one of those situations where they've remodeled the house, but I maybe have seen somebody there twice since they've remodeled it. I mean, it's not like they're here and you can go knock on their door. In fact, who knows where they live?
We don't. And that is the case. We walked through the house. I gave them a list of about 6 things that had to be completed and brought into code compliance. Among them are the handrails from their stairways, which they didn't do. They didn't get a final certificate of occupancy from me and just kind of vanished. So they have a list of about 6 items they have to take care of. This will just add one more to it, and they will work that out in their negotiations.
And I will say I'm glad to see somebody buying the house that will take care of stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. Their plan
very
is
frustrating.
Their plan is to live there at least a good portion of the time. They've got several kids in the academy, so they want to have somebody here close to the kids, and I think it's a good idea. And I would have to say thank you to Kevin for bringing that back up before us, because I was there and was oblivious to the fence when I was there on Wednesday. So thank you for the reminder, and we'll get on that and get it taken care of.
Not a problem. I appreciate that. The only thing I'm wondering if you might want to mention the fines in the letter so that the new owner, I guess what you're saying is you're not going to give him a certificate of occupancy to change ownership until these things are corrected?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. I was going to suggest putting the fines in the letter that would be forthcoming, but if they can't close without a C of O, then that's handled it. So I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
And Chuck, I'm not beating you up on it. Things have been happening along here. So I just scared me when the sign goes up and if we change ownership, that's not fair and hard to fix.
Oh, no, I appreciate the reminder. And now is the exact time we have the most leverage we've had in the last year.
Thank you.
I want to say same thing, Kevin. I thank you too, and I apologize for the shortcomings on our part.
Things happen.
Items of new business. Anything new coming in, Chuck?
Not anything major. There just is a lot of activity going on in our town. In the past, we've always had, and I gave this report to the Plan Commission also, but in the past, we've always had a lot of activity around the lake. It's always been hot. People that have money do that, whether we have good economy or bad economy, they seem to be able to buy, sell, and improve everything around the lake. But right now, we're seeing a lot more of the infill lots and houses being sold and fixed up. They may take the worst house in the neighborhood or close to it, and they're putting money in to fix it up to be able to live there. And that hasn't happened in the past.
Right.
We just kind of had new stuff around the lake, and what was not on the lake, we couldn't get done very well. And just like Mr. Easterday's clients tonight, improving, making that better. This 404 East Lakeshore, that's going to be brought up and into compliance and made even better than it is. The house next to the fire station, just to the north, it's been beat up and beat around quite a bit. There's an offer that's been accepted on that, and the new owner's coming in. We've talked about what he's going to do there. So I'm excited about what I see going on throughout the town.
When I saw that was for sale, I thought maybe the Joneses would buy it.
Yeah. But it could have been a good idea.
And I'll ask this question. How about the one 2 doors down from me? I saw somebody there today. Has that been on the market or somebody doing something there? I noticed the doors were open.
You'll have to give me
vehicles sitting there.
Have to give me an address because I'm not good on what's your address?
Mine's 620, so it's 2 doors to the west, so it's like 602 or
620 what street?
It's the guy that owned the
It's on College.
College Avenue. I'm sorry.
College, okay. You say it's 2 doors.
It's one right on the corner that the town's been mowing the yard.
Oh, that's 615.
Is that what that is?
Oh,
No.
Not 615. You don't mean
Gotta be in
Scotty Van Hock's place.
Yeah, that's the one.
The
But that
brick-
can't
the
be
brick house?
615 because it's on the north side.
Yeah, you're right.
614. It's 614. I just looked it up,
Yeah.
on
14.
public record.
Yes.
614.
The town mowed it. We're, in case you didn't know, we're in litigation against Mr. Van Hock on his property there at 415 Lakeshore, the one that burned. He's suing us for all of his special race motorcycles that he had and his expensive camper. Oh yeah, he's looking for about 2.4.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, serious as a heart attack. So we're kind of pushing him through that on this other property. He did, in case you guys didn't know, Mr. Van Hock got arrested in Michigan at his home about 5 weeks ago for assault and battery. So hoping his wife smart enough to leave him, but anyway, things aren't looking good for him, and I think maybe he's trying to find ways to pay his attorney.
What grounds is he suing the town on?
Well, he had these important race motorcycles that were museum quality and all of that he had in there, and we just tore it all out and hauled it to the dump.
With no proof.
Yes, with no proof.
Yeah.
Oh,
The only proof we like to get with him is that he was actually the one that started the fire. That's
Yeah.
what we'd like to get.
Yeah.
But we haven't proved it yet.
Wow. Talk about it.
So anyway, that's what's happening in your neighborhood. So hopefully,
Well, and I like I said, I saw somebody there, the front door was open, there was a
if you
redheaded kid sitting on the wall in front, there's a vehicle on the left or on the
if you
side
see
street.
anybody there, please call me. If you can't get a hold of me, get Jonathan. You somehow get a hold of me. I'll make a beeline right there to
Okay,
meet
I'll
whoever's
let you
there.
know.
Okay, thank you.
I just drove by today and I thought, I wonder what they're doing,
Okay,
but I didn't, I didn't recognize anything.
okay. That's all I have.
Anybody else have anything else?
I just want to share with you guys, I will be on vacation in July and we'll miss the next BZA meeting. So some other lovely human being will have to take the
Well,
note.
you're gonna take your computer with you, aren't you?
Yeah, we're going to zoom in.
Oh, yeah.
We'll still have team.
I don't think that's an excuse.
See,
I just
head
walked
in her
over
hands. There she goes.
That's terrible.
You can take the lady out of town hall, but you can't take the town hall out of the lady anymore.
Oh my gosh. Well, then I'm just gonna say my grandkids could be running around in the background, so y'all just gonna have to put up with that.
Just so everybody knows, our next meeting will probably be at Beach Lodge. It's got a bigger area there for us to meet, and we can stay more socially distanced. We'll probably have everybody come into that meeting, but people need to. We're still going to have meetings that so people can call in and see what's going on.
Since Ms. Marshall will not be there, we do need to find somebody to take notes. Does anybody like to volunteer for that?
I thought the
I
new
can't
guy
hear you.
always did that.
I feel like as the rookie that I just by default I'm up.
Thank you.
very much.
Thanks for volunteering.
Yeah. Way to take one for the team.
Do we need to vote on that, Dan?
Oh, we're good
I
there.
don't think so. If we got somebody volunteering to do it, we will
That's
vote.
right.
Anything else to come for us tonight? If not, this meeting is adjourned.
Wait.
Go ahead,
Hey, we're talking about the Beach Lodge for next meeting? Because
Yes.
I know, all right, I mean, is that the decision that's been made now? Because I know I was talking to Jonathan and he was talking like the BZA would be meeting in town hall and the planning commission was going to be meeting at the Beach Lodge.
We
So
just talked
I just
tonight.
want clarification.
We talked about 5 o'clock tonight, and he still said Beach Lodge for everybody.
Okay,
I'm
I just want to
anxious
make
see.
sure because it hit me different. So yeah,
Yeah,
great.
we'll make sure that notice goes out. Everybody's aware of it.
yeah, because I think the planning commission actually going to be at the Beach Lodge, but I don't think visitors are going to be at that meeting because there's so many. But we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe we won't need a meeting.
No, we already have.
Oh, okay.
We already have 2 cases in.
Okay.
Jump on it.
Yeah. Right,
All right.
Kevin?
Right.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for your help.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm.
I'll tell you, they're sure doing a whole lot of